I'm Loredana, and today I will speak to you as an instructional designer who has developed maybe one too many mandatory e-learning courses in her career. So, whenever I have to develop a module such as, risk awareness, compliance, the first thing that comes to mind is virtually everyone's reaction when they'll have to take this e-learning. When that email comes along and says, it's that time of the year you have to do your risk awareness course again. And usually it's something that looks like this. Didn't I just do it last month? Why do I need to do it again? No one is excited about it. And this person, they really don't want to spend a lot of time doing drag and drop activities or something like a Wheel of Fortune or whatever kind of activity that just gives them some points. They just want to get it over with and move on with their day. That's all they're looking for from this course. So that's not very motivating to start developing the module. And the second thing that I imagined before designing the course is this. And I imagine that somewhere in our offices, there is maybe a procurement officer who's in a meeting with the provider, and they offer them a very nice personal benefit for signing a contract with them. Our officer, however, they remember that they took a risk awareness e-learning just a few months ago, and they, based on that information, they just decided to reject the offer and make the best choice for the company. The day is saved, the instructional designer in charge of the course walks away as a silent hero, and everyone is happy. Of course, this scenario may be just wishful thinking, yet it also makes me wonder all the time, what can I do as a designer and developer to get such a result, to get somewhere close to this sort of result? And the first thing I go with is setting a clear goal, and I want to make clear that this is different than stating a pedagogical objective, because you'll often see an e-learning course starting with a phrase such as this. I'm sure we've all seen it. It's something like, by the end of this module, you'll be able to name 7 types of risk, or something in that vicinity. And I'm sure we all took these courses so far, and none of us can name 7 types of risks any more now than before we took those courses. So let's get back to our procurement officer and the goal that we set for her in our mind, which is to reject the benefits and choose the best provider for the company. That may be translated in a goal that we present to the learner as something like this: how to sleep better at night and save thousands of euros in fines. Now, just as a disclaimer, I know that many times, especially when it comes to mandatory courses, the project managers and SMEs are very strict on their content and phrasing, and they don't want you to go outside their scripted text. And I'm just talking here about projects where you do have a bit of a leeway with the project manager on how to develop the module and make it more attractive for the user. So now that we got the learner's attention, what do we do with it? How do we leverage this attention to build towards our objective? And I mean, we could go with a number of options in order to create a meaningful challenge, and sometimes I wonder which of these activities would be better, because I think that sometimes even presenting the text as a bullet point, if it's rightly done, may have the good result, and sometimes just a simple exercise may do. But in this case, I want to go a step further. I want to gamify this course. I want to really take advantage of the attention I just grabbed, and I want to go deep and build something more meaningful. So I think a good way to go here would be to create a branching scenario And that is in order to create a challenge for the learner. Because sometimes we can start with something that looks like this, and we just start, let's say, at the end of the scenario. We present already the whole context, the meeting that took place, the discussion that was productive, and then we mention that, oh, you know, at the end they will offer you some personal benefit if you sign with them. What do you do? And we give them some options. I simplify here a bit, but that's what I see most often. You either accept or reject the offer. Sometimes they may have more variation on this, but that's where we end up. And that's not really any challenge for the learner. I mean, even if we do some branching from here, another step or two, there's really no challenge. Most of them, they know that you expect them to say that they will reject the offer, and it's pretty much pointless to try to build something more complex from this point. So in order to make this both a challenge and a meaningful one, in order to add this meaning, it's better to start the scenario earlier on, and maybe in the first part of the meeting, and build the outcome from there. At the first level, you may start with two correct options, or maybe with a correct and a partially correct answer. And only at the second or just third level, add partially incorrect or completely incorrect answers. Personally, I don't like to have more than 2 or 3 levels in a branching scenario. I think it makes it a bit too complex, and no one really goes through all the branching. It goes a bit against the purpose of the activity. And adding the wrong answers only later on in the game encourages reflection and a better understanding of a situation that is usually nuanced and not just black and white, or, you know, I do this, I don't do this. Sometimes maybe you don't want to offend the person in front of you. Sometimes you want to be clear without generating a conflict or creating an embarrassing situation. So there are more ways to handle a situation than just saying, yes, I do that, or no, I don't do that. And presenting the situation, putting the learner in all this some of this context, in fact, helps them reflect on what would help them reject the offer, what would make them accept the offer if they were in that situation, and why that's not a good idea. So to sum up, when looking to gamify an e-learning module in a way that it leads to a real behavioral change and not just stating, repeating the pedagogical objective, I think that it's very important to keep in mind that you have to set a clear goal and be very clear about what you expect at the end, both for yourself, for the company, and for the employee. To design an activity that is truly challenging for the learner, and to make it meaningful in a way that truly stimulates reflection and understanding of a nuanced situation. So thank you very much. This was my presentation. If you have any questions, I didn't get to look in the chat. I see there's a question here. Please share an example of a creating meaning branching algorithm. So I think it's what was on this slide. So I'm not sure I don't believe that there is a clear algorithm, but I do prefer, depending on the situation and the options that are presented to the learner, the situation and the desired outcomes, I do prefer to create something that will lead to 3 or 4 outcomes in the in the end, and they go from a clearly positive result to two results that are not ideal, but they still work, and one that is totally the wrong way to go. Right, so an example of a situation. If we go with this one, let's say that we have our officer that goes in a meeting with their provider who sells, I don't know, let's say chairs for the office. It doesn't really matter. And then you start the meeting, you start the branching scenario, not at the end when the learner says, when the provider offers a benefit, but somewhere earlier on, maybe when they ask a few questions about, when the learner gets a chance to ask questions about the furniture, about the chairs, I don't know, to see if they are good quality, what the prices are, and ask, for example, if there's a deal available. They can phrase the, you can offer them the possibility to phrase it like, do you offer, can you offer a deal for the company? Is there a discount for volume? Or they may phrase the question more vaguely, like, what advantage would we have if we did this? Or maybe even imply or insinuate that they're expecting something in return. I'm not sure if this answers your question. Okay, great.